So now you've put your tabletop, you've attached your tabletop to your table frame, and now we're going to check for any wobble in it. You can do this on the floor of your shop, but most concrete isn't completely flat, so find a flat surface somewhere. Table saw works really well, or this router table, and I'm going to check for any wobble. This one's pretty good, doesn't really move. Some of them will move a lot. If it's just a little bit, I'll take a little bit of sandpaper and just adjust whatever needs adjusted on the bottom of the legs. If it's a lot more, then I'll take a Japanese pole saw and I will take it along the bottom edge and level off whatever needs to be leveled off, just to fix any wobble that might be in the table. So we have taken our tabletop off of our frame, and now we're going to put a finish on it. I did any final sanding that I needed to do. I took out, this is the bottom side of the tabletop. I sanded out my pencil marks that I had made for placing my holes for the figure 8 fasteners. I have those holes now, so I know how the frame goes on the table. So now I'm going to put a finish. This would be a good time if you want to put some sort of CNC design on the top of your table to put it in before you put the finish on, and then do a final sanding if you do decide to do a CNC. So another option, other than CNC, before you put your finish on, you can torch your table and kind of blacken the wood. And I'll just demonstrate that real quick on a scrap piece of wood. You'll want to make sure you do this in a well-ventilated area, either in a paint room or outside somewhere. And depending on how dark you want it, you can move the torch quickly back and forth across the wood, and that'll give you a lighter tone. Or if you hold it longer on a piece of wood, just till it starts to burn and blacken, that'll give you a really dark finish. So I'll show you here. So that gives you a bit lighter finish. If you go slower, that'll give you a nice dark finish. You'll want to take a wire wheel to this to remove any excess soot so that your lacquer or poly can actually bond to the surface. So for this, I'm going to use a pour and wipe finish. And I'm going to start on the bottom side of the tabletop. I'm going to put some on my rag and then wipe with the grain of the wood. So once I have a coat of poly on here, I'm going to go ahead and just barely screw my screws into the holes so that I can flip the tabletop over and work on the other side. But this keeps it from sitting directly on the cardboard. So when you put this first coat of poly on, you're going to want to make sure that you have time to do the whole thing. You don't want to just put half a coat on across half the tabletop because your wood will actually cup towards the side that the poly is on, and it'll warp your whole tabletop. Okay, so here we have our finished project. We've put our finish on it. We used a Mohawk pour and wipe. You can use a mini wax wipe-on poly, or you can use a spray-on. We found that it was more trouble than it was worth to use the spray-on because the gun got clogged a lot due to the time in between students using it, because everyone wasn't done at the same time. So we are more in favor of using the wipe-on. You can get as creative as you want with this project. Like I mentioned before, you can do a CNC on the top. You could do a CNC design on the table apron. Just have fun with this project. So for grading purposes on this project, it's the detail work that really counts. This is a lot of fun to put together. It goes together pretty fast. But taking the time to actually sand out any marks on it, sand out any pencil markings that you have, burn marks, just anything that doesn't look quite right, extra glue, taking a scraper and scraping out any extra glue that you might have here, because that will show up underneath your finish. As far as the finish goes, I would recommend putting on at least 2, but 3 is better, coats of your wipe-on poly. You'll want to sand in between each coat, and I think this one takes around 4 hours to dry, so it'll take you a couple class periods over a couple days to get this done. I hope you enjoyed the project. Be safe and have fun.